Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight in Business for August 23rd, 2021. I'm Tammy Defoe, your host, CEO, business coach, and public speaking instructor for GTApreneurs. I'm so happy to introduce to you today, Parm Chohan. Parm, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Not bad, Tammy. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So happy to have you here. Can you please tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I live in Caledon, which is just north of Brampton. Married. My wife is a Montessori school teacher, so she's been busy the last year and a half or so. We adopted a new puppy. She's about 8-10 months old. Her name is Sachi. She is a firecracker. Other than that, so my background is communications, public relations. I have about 10 plus years experience in communications and PR. As a communications advisor, as a public relations strategist. I have a master's in communications management from McMaster. I've worked in nonprofit, corporate, municipal government, and I've worked alongside anywhere from front level staff to senior leadership and CEOs.
Nice, very good. And so tell me more, what is your actual title that you use and what are the actual ways you help your clients?
Absolutely. So I own my own leadership development and coaching practice called Conquer Leadership. And essentially, Tammy, what I do is I work with aspiring and established leaders to further develop their leadership potential, their leadership presence, their influence with customers, clients, co-workers, colleagues. And I base this on building genuine connection, because if you can't connect with someone, what are the chances that you'll have influence or leadership with them, right? Now, I like to think of myself as a change agent where I help discover and uncover the next best version of you, your team, your organization. And then the result of that is you, your team, your organization breaking through those personal, professional, and even financial barriers. Now, I'm also partnered with the #1 leadership development organization in the world, which is the John Maxwell Team. So as a certified trainer, speaker, and coach with the John Maxwell Team, I have exclusive rights and access to world-class content, materials, resources, and I can tap into the decades of experience that our coaches and trainers have. Now, specifically, what I do is I work with folks in one of two ways, really. One is corporate and group training, and that's based on a bit of a mastermind model where there's teaching, but then also guided and facilitated discussion and conversation to really pull at the essence of what's being taught. And then one-on-one coaching, right? Whether it's executive level or even just life coaching. And I have access to a number of types of assessments and something that we call the leadership game. And don't let the word game fool you. This is a powerful resource. The leadership game, think of it as a SWOT analysis on yourself and other participants. And it's a lighter, fun, less overwhelming and intimidating way of identifying your strong areas and then the areas that you need to work on. Different than a typical leadership assessment, which is question after question after right? So this is a lot more interactive and introspective.
That's great. I've actually heard of that before, and I thought it was really interesting. Like a lot of times companies, they evaluate themselves and say, okay, so this is where we are now. How do we get to that next level, right? And one of the most valuable things any company can have is human resources, humans, people, resources, right? But how do you know that they're functioning optimally, right? Or how do you get them to function better? So I think this game that you're mentioning, right, where people are really doing stuff to figure that out, it's just like now, when I'm hiring somebody, I make them do a test. I use a company to do them a test because people can say whatever they want. They can say how great they are and things like that, but, put them in a situation where they have to prove themselves, right? So if a company wants to be promoting somebody, right, and, who do they promote? They can have all these good people, but, how can they really find that true leader, And for someone who is a business owner who maybe they don't have that big team, right? But they want to have this influence. Like I know this thought leadership is the latest, tag phrase recently in that, right? So how do you get someone to become a thought leader and what does that mean?
Absolutely. So essentially what I'm able to do is I'm able to create a safe, an open space, whether it's a group program or a one-on-one program where we're, let's say it's a group program, right? We have 6, 8, 10 weeks of teaching, introspection, interaction. Think of the accountability and productivity that takes place with a group of like-minded, aspiring and established leaders, right? Think of the growth and what does the growth and transformation look like around that table? There's no way you're not going to change, right? Same way than one capacity. Usually minimum, I'm spending 6 months with someone because it gives us a chance and an opportunity to initially make some great progress, break through that plateau and that terror barrier, which usually happens around the 3-4 month mark, and just break through that thing and smoke through it. And then 6 months later, there's no way progress isn't going to happen, right? So the work has to be internal. And if the other person or people involved are doing their fair share of work, the transformation and that growth sticks even more. So back to the thought leadership piece is, it's not so much that we need new content these days, and maybe you'll agree with it. It's almost information and content overload, right? What is also very, very important is being able to apply and practice the information that we already currently possess or already know. And that's what my programs allow us to do. So the thought leadership piece comes from, what do you already know? And there's a ton of stuff that we're already very experienced in, that we're very professional and have that nuanced approach in. But sometimes it's just buried deep down. We pull it out and say, okay, here's the good stuff that was already inside of you. Let's bring it out. Let's capitalize on it. Let's figure out a way. Let's create a growth plan, measure and assess against that growth plan to be able to bring out everything that you might already know, teach some new things. And now throughout that transformation process, you've become, there's something different about you. You're showing up differently now because it's not just about the shiny new content, Tammy. It's about applying what we already know that we sometimes tuck down deep inside.
And it makes me think that a lot of people, they do underestimate themselves, right? They underestimate what they know. Their confidence isn't that high. They look at all these other people that, oh, yes, this person's a great speaker. This person's doing X, Y, Z. But a lot of times they can do it too, right? They have the knowledge, but they just need to find that confidence, right? That motivation, and then obviously speaking, right? You want to be able to speak in such a way that you're going to have that influence, right? But again, it does have to come from here, right? And here, if you don't have that confidence, or a way to maybe streamline your message to get it out there, then you just do the same thing all the time, and I mean, it's a lot easier just to be out there and, as a leader and people keep coming to you, then you have to keep going to other people all the time, right? That's the two ways to make your business. You can go to other people, they can come to you, right? That's the life. Mm-hmm. You want people just to come to you, but how can you do that? You do have to position yourself as knowledgeable and a leader, but it is reaching out to people there and helping them to find what they already have and bringing that out to the surface.
Yeah. And to add to that point, it's building influence and leadership with your prospects, with your customer base, with your client base, right? So much so that you then become someone that they know, like, and trust. If those three things aren't there, then it's going to be very difficult for them to want to do business with you. You have to be someone that others know, like, and trust. And that requires building genuine connection. That requires influence. That requires leadership in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but surely in some way, shape, or form. So those that are small business owners and entrepreneurs, leadership development, and even coaching 100% applies, because you're applying that. You're applying that in your conversations with your prospects, with your clients, with your customers, so that you can build connection, you can build influence and leadership in an ethical and appropriate way, so that you result in a mutually beneficial business relationship.
Yeah, for sure. So you take people even from the solopreneur and then up to the CEO, right? The other thing that makes me think of too, that it's not just people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, but I bet there's a lot of people who work in companies and they want to move up the corporate ladder, but they're just stuck. They don't know how to get to the next level, right? And maybe it is a confidence thing. They haven't found their voice yet, right? They don't know how to do that. So then do you offer that sort of help as well?
Absolutely. So executive coaching is part of my service offering, where I'm teaching content, but then also we're applying it, right? We're developing practical steps to, again, uncover and discover what's already within, right? And then also layering on maybe new information and new teachings and new lessons that are applicable, not necessarily from an overwhelming and boom, 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 but creating a growth plan, an action plan to be able to practice and apply everything that's being learned or everything that's being discussed in that coaching relationship. And, you know, what I often see is, and similar to what you were saying, is a lot of folks do underestimate themselves. All right. And quite often is, sometimes you already have a lot of that inherent skill set. It just needs to be polished and brought out to the surface. And that's what we're able to do together in that coaching relationship, is uncovering, discovering, identifying the steps forward, identifying what the ultimate goals are, and building that accountability program and those accountability steps so that we're measuring against something every time we meet.
Exactly, right. And it's having someone like yourself as a coach to actually care about their success, care about their future, right? Instead, so someone else coming in in that, right? Because a lot of people, you just get caught up in the everyday, you're in your life, right? But how often do people have someone who's outside? Let's look at your life as a whole, like looking on, from the outside, right? And that's when you can make changes. Otherwise, some people, they don't realize why they can make these New Year's resolutions every year and they don't achieve them. They see other people make doing this and that and the other thing, right? But they're just not. And a lot of them, I think it comes down to fear. People are just afraid, of what if I say this, then something might happen, bad might happen, right? They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to get their confidence out, right? But maybe that's what's going to help them, right? Maybe that's going to help people to have more respect for them. It's going to have them to more look up to them and go to them, But if people just kind of stay in this little shell where it's safe, I'll just do my Monday to 9 to 5 safe. Yes, I want to move up, but I don't know if I should do this because maybe, right? So I think that's good. What you do is you'll take people from, that little shell that they're in, right? And to say, no, where do you really want to go? Because I can help you get there, right? And by having that personal coach that's going to take you and get there, people are going to get way better results than trying it on their own. Because I know people, they do the same thing and they complain every year. I hate my job, right? Or my business is the same as it was last year, or whatever, the pandemic. There's always some excuse, honestly, right, that people use. But, sometimes it's just the fact that maybe on their own, they just don't feel they're strong enough to do it. They just don't have the confidence. Maybe they don't have the support of the family or whatever, right? So I think having you there would be great. And now, can you tell us about some recent successes you've had with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my recent clients, he is the chief operating officer in a steel manufacturing company, his own family business. Now, before our coaching relationship, he felt very unsure of himself, felt that he lacked the confidence he thought a COO ought to have. He didn't think he knew enough. He didn't feel that he was rational and strategic enough to grow his business. He didn't feel that he was a strong leader. Now, because of our time together and because of the coaching program and the hard work that he put in, legit hard work, Tammy, he was working hard. So he found the confidence in his ability to communicate and connect better with his staff, with his clients, with his partners. He was told that he was a lot more approachable and transparent, right? He noticed his anxiety come down and he was able to get better sleep at night. So health benefits were there. But most importantly, because of the internal work, the change was internal and he was becoming the leader that he knew he could be. right? So, and these are his words, right, that I'm sharing with you. And when you hear that as an executive coach, as someone that's there with him side by side, as that accountability partner, the thinking partner, oh, that's just music to your ears, right? So when someone's putting in the work, there's no way growth or transformation can't happen, right? So it was it was a genuine pleasure to have worked with him. We still keep in touch. So yeah, he did some incredible work.
And that's a good point to say, is that it doesn't happen overnight, right? But if people really want to do it, and people who are watching right now, you need to think to yourself, have you watched other people, be thought leaders, stand up and do all these great things, and you sitting there saying, I wish I could do that, and you haven't? Well, you know what? Reach out to Parm, because he can actually help you get there. It doesn't matter where you're at right now. If you want to put the work in, then, you can be successful. And something where you're bringing up that story about the COO, it made me think about companies where they want to be passing it down from one generation to the next one. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you watched it or not. You ever watched the show Kitchen Nightmares?
It's been played around our house. Yeah.
Okay. So I like that show. I watch it all the time. Right. And so something happens where, like, the parents, they've been really great at running this business, but now they want the kid who's adult to take over. And the kid doesn't have the confidence. They don't have the expertise, the control over people and stuff like that. And it's a real problem. So I can see this is another group of people that, you can really help, right? Is that all of a sudden they're newly into this management role, right? And how do they be successful,
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the thought leadership piece, something that just popped into my head. I'd say one of the ingredients in being a thought leader is not just having the knowledge, skills, and abilities, but having the confidence and certainty that you can speak intelligently about the subject matter. Now, having that confidence and certainty isn't an outside game. It's an inside game, right? So you can have, and this goes back to shiny new content, you can be absorbing and consuming all that shiny new content, but something has to happen in here, and it's an inside game. Something has to happen for that confidence and certainty to develop and to grow to a point where you're able to have those conversations and articulate yourself in an intelligent way, right? And that's the inside game and the inside work and the internal work that we're talking about. Refer to it as non-technical skills, which don't often get as much importance as they ought to, because it's the internal work, it's the inside game that will impact the external.
Absolutely, right. And the thing with having you as their coach is that they can practice on you, right? They can, something that they're afraid to do in front of their colleagues or the employees or something like that, they can, do it on you, and then you can give them feedback. So it's just like in a safe space, then the more they keep doing it, then they can build that confidence. So when they go out with these other people who are trying to impress, right, they have those skills. So I think everything you're offering is very helpful, Parm. I think a lot of people should be giving you a call, taking advantage of that. Of course, I'm so excited to have you as our speaker at our next networking event next Tuesday night at 7:00. You don't want to miss it. He's going to give us 20 minutes of his free knowledge there to help you out. And I'm going to put the link to register in the chat. I'm also going to put Parm's information. So he offers a complimentary consultation. So if you want to just give him a call and learn more and see how he can help you, then he'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. Give me a call, drop me an email. If you're looking for corporate or group training development, let's chat. Let's identify what some of the pain points are so we can develop a program that works best for you and your organization. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, let's jump on a complimentary call and see, not just see what the conversation, but let's start the journey and at least lay the foundation for a growth plan, so then that we can try to move the needle forward. Because again, when you're putting in the work, whether it's in a group environment or a one-on-one capacity, if you're putting in the work, there's no way that growth and transformation won't happen. So thank you very much for having me, Tammy.
You're welcome, Parm. It's so great to have you here, right? And everything you said is totally true, right? But having the right coach, like you, for example, can also help them to make the next, level, right? I mean, you can put lots of hard work into something, but if it's not the right work, if it's not the right thing, that's something different, right? So instead of people trying to just figure it on their own, go and consult with you, the expert who does that. So thanks again. It's been a pleasure today. And we're going to put this out there, get other people to get to know you, and look forward to seeing you next Tuesday night. I know we're going to get lots of great feedback.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.